Hey everybody, this is Mark from ApplyGodsWord.com, and this is my wife, Bethany. And today we're talking about a really fun topic, how to fight less. So how to fight less in your relationships. We're going to come at it obviously from a marriage perspective. So I had this really brilliant idea. We were going to start by fake fighting, right? And we were going to make this big scene, and it's going to escalate, and then at the end, Bethany was going to splash me with water in the face and be like, I hate you, and it was going to be this big, crazy, elaborate scheme. But
then I had flashbacks when I was in middle school, and me and my girlfriend stayed up till all hours of the night doing things like this, and it felt uncomfortable.
Filming goofy videos when you were a kid. So we're just going to do a standard intro, you know. We're just going to jump right to the topic and be adults about it, so.
Weird.
All right, so easy. We'll really start fighting here.
Well, authentic is better than fake anyway.
I agree. So, how to fight less. What came to your mind? I mean, we've been married for 9 years, and, you know, full disclosure, we've had some ups and downs throughout the way, right?
I wasn't sure we were qualified to post this video at first, but the more that we thought about it, we have gotten better at fighting less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were intentional about how we're titling it, right? How to fight less. Because I think it's unrealistic in marriage to say how to never fight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, you know, of course that should be the goal, but it's not really realistic. So what are some things that, you know, we've learned, that you've learned, that have helped us, you know, stay on the same page and fight less and all that?
So I think for me the best thing is to not pretend when things don't roll off of my back. So I'd like to be better at letting things go, but when I'm not, I need to be honest and just talk about what needs to be said. So it doesn't have to be any big deal, but I think for me, I just wanted to let things go so easily, and I wasn't letting them go, I was letting them build up. Mm-hmm. So I think just being honest and having the hard conversation when I know it's going to lead into, you know, more frustration and a longer conversation, but I think in the end when we really hash it out, and then it's completely gone instead of letting that sit and build up and build up. Mm-hmm. So I think being honest with myself when I'm not fully at peace, when there is something there, a little argument that happens.
Yeah, I thought you brought up a good point when we were kind of, you know, just talking a little bit about what we were going to say, and you said you know, sometimes you'll know whether you need to talk about it or not by giving it some time. Like if you give it time and you feel better after some time, then you're like, okay, you know, I don't really need to talk about that. I can just let that go. But if you give it time and you actually start feeling worse, the more you let it go, it's just building up, then you know, okay, this is something that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really good because we have, you know, in the Bible there's really two approaches to when someone sins against you or when there's an offense there. For example, in Proverbs 19 it says it's to a man's glory to overlook an offense. So hey, that's good. If you can overlook it and just let it go, that's good. But you know, in Matthew 18 for example, it says if your brother sins against you, go to him and talk about it. And so you both are appropriate at times, and so it's just a matter of choosing which one or the other. You know, that would be helpful, and I think that was a good.
Yeah, you don't want to bring up every little thing, especially when you know you've just had a really long day and the kids have been complaining all day long, and so you're just have kind of a short wick that day, so you kind of just let things go. But if there's something that's happened that's still, you know, you keep thinking about it, you know, you need to just talk about it and get it out in the open because it always feels a lot better.
Yeah. Because I mean,
knowing the difference between those two.
Right, because you can, the little things happen.
Right.
Little things happen throughout the day. Someone says something in a way that just wasn't quite right, or you know, so it's all about gauging how deep do we need to go with this. Because if you go on every little thing, you're gonna wear your chest. You're just gonna wear it out, you know.
Right.
So that kind of relates well to the one I had. Something that's helped me, I think, is knowing the difference between a disagreement and a fight. And I think that, like we said in the beginning, there has to be disagreements in marriage. There doesn't have to be fights. And what I mean by that is, if there's never a disagreement in the marriage, I think that it probably means one of two things. A, one person is super aggressive and just is beating the other person down, so they don't ever want to fight. And they're like, oh, well, I agree with everything. Or the other one person is just really passive, and they just want to please that person. And both of those are combustible over a long period of time. Like, it's going to come out. That's not healthy.
Yeah.
So there has to be disagreements. We, like me and you, have a ton in common. Like, we usually see eye to eye on most things. We view the world very similarly, but we're two different people. And sometimes you think one way and I think another. And so something that's helped me over the years is that, like, I need to be okay with you seeing it differently.
Right.
I can't just expect everyone to see the world the exact same way as me. And when I realize, like, we don't just because we don't see things the same doesn't mean we're fighting.
Right.
It's okay to have a disagreement. And do we need to work it out sometimes? Of course, we got to get on the same page. So yeah, that's something, knowing the difference between a disagreement and a fight. Disagreements are going to happen, fights don't have to. A disagreement is two different ideas. A fight is when you want to win.
One other thing that I feel like is helpful for me is to know when to bring up issues, like the timing of it. Like, if there is something that's been bothering me, I'm not going to go at it as soon as he gets home from work, right before dinner when everybody's hungry and whatever. Just like little, like knowing when a good time to talk about that issue, because it's going to be an issue, and you're going to want to talk about it, especially with us since we have kids, and there's never a great time to talk,
right?
But maybe a better time. No perfect time to talk, but maybe a better time, I think, has been helpful too, to bring things up.
Yeah, kind of just being intentional and thoughtful rather than just like being emotion driven.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I feel a certain way, I'm going to throw it out there when the kids are screaming and everyone's hungry, and it's like, that was dumb. I knew how that was going to end.
Right.
Why did I say that?
Right.
And if you just like sleep on it, get some sleep, get a full belly, a lot of times it's not even an issue anymore.
And trying to not say too much when you're emotional
is
helpful as well.
Yeah. Yeah, those are really good. Another one I had was, speaking the truth in love. Because, so, in my profession, like, it's like, this is like some of the things I study, right? Like, I've been to seminary, pastoral counseling, and like studied relationships, and this is what I do all the time with the blog, and like, I'm into this, and then so when it happens, I think, oh, I got it all figured out, and sometimes, okay, like, I have a good perspective. The thing I've really erred on over the years is like, I think I know the issue, but I say the issue in like an over the top way. I don't speak it in love. I'm with, speak the truth in love. It's easy for me to speak the truth. It doesn't come natural to me to speak it in love if I don't intentionally slow down and say, how am I going to say this the most respectful, kind, gentle way possible that's actually helpful?
Because then the truth can be lost.
Exactly.
Because then you're focused on the delivery.
Right.
It's like, that was hurtful.
Right, yeah. Then we can't even talk about the original issue, because now we got to talk about how big of a jerk I just was by saying it like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, speaking the truth in love, I think people have kind of a tendency, like, just naturally to err on one side or the other. Like, they were so loving, they don't want to tell you the truth, and they just compromise. Yeah. Or you're like so committed to telling the truth, you will like beat someone in the face with it.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I think everyone's different, and you have to be honest with which one you are. For me, I'm like, okay, this is what's happening. I need to slow down and say, all right, now how can I deliver this in the most loving way possible to actually help, you know? Well, there's so much more you could say. I think maybe the one that cap out at, not just to be traditional and to say it just because it's so kind of sounds cliche, but genuinely because it's been super crucial for our marriage, and that's praying together.
Yeah.
I think praying together really is crucial for the health of a marriage, and it definitely helps us fight less and be on the same page more. And I think there's like two times of prayer, like just generally praying every day together. We try to do that at least once a day to connect and basically just, connect with the Lord as well. Mm-hmm. But I think after you fight, or after you have a, heated disagreement, I think we found it extremely helpful to make the mending process quicker by finishing off in prayer and being like, all right, I'm sorry for this, you're sorry for that, you know, we're on the same page here, and then praying. And I think prayer really unites people. You know, when you're doing it together, it's something that unites you.
And it softens you too. When you're like angry and emotional, and then when you come to the Lord, you're not looking at the other person, you're both looking at the Lord, and it just softens your heart to be able to receive healing when you need to be healed, or you know, asking for forgiveness where you need to ask for forgiveness. It just helps me to like change my attitude a lot, and I don't really want to a lot of times. Mark's really good at like suggesting the prayer. I think I glared at him a few times when he
Would you like to pray now?
But I never say no. I always say yes, and it always helps. So.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely not one of those things that like, you know, this magical hallmark, you know, moment of let's pray and kneel at the bedside together now, babe.
No.
Oh, you know, it's like, I think we should pray now. I don't know what else to say. We need to pray.
Right. Please help.
Right. Yeah. So genuinely though, in marriage, prayer together, super important.
Definitely.
Yep. All right. Well, that's basically it. Do those 3 or 4 steps, and life will be perfect. Everything will be fine. You never fight again. Never. So, rate it. Sorry. No, but seriously, you know, like I said, you can fight less. You really can. And I think we have over the years, it's a part of marriage having disagreements. Fights don't have to be there all the time. We're sinful. It's going to happen. But you can move on quickly. You can get back on the same page. And working at it, I guess that's the last point I would say, is just like be intentional. Don't be a victim. Like, oh, you know, we just had this terrible marriage, and okay, that might be true. I'm not saying that about us, just in general. I'm saying like you got to work on it, right? You gotta get in there and talk about it. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? Yeah. So being intentional.
Definitely.
All right. Peace. Well, that pretty much does it, right? I mean, do these 3 tips and everything will be perfect. Your life will be magic, and send in a check for thousands of dollars, and, you know, Prosperity Gospel 101 here. No, I don't know where that came from. I'm getting nervous on camera now. Let's do another edit. Let's do another closing.
End in prayer. How we pray together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Should we hit that point too?
I don't know. I thought that was what you wanted to.
Okay. All right. Let's do that one.